Hi, this is Ingrid from Quiltessential Co in St. Albert, and it is a sunny March day, and we're going to have fun putting our block together. And I designed this block specifically so that if you put this into a quilt, it makes an amazing quilt. So hopefully you like it, and you'll be making multiples. All right, let's go cut. So when you cut out this time, make sure you label carefully, and I'm going to go through how you do this. Stack your A and B together and then cut that into the strip that you need. That'll make it faster. I would stack C and D together. I'm calling them C and D, but you're going to make more out of it than that. But stack them together. They're two big rectangles. When you cut, you'll have a strip, and that will be C and D. And then you're going to have squares. On this one, this is an F and these are G, but in your instructions it tells you what to label them all. But put them together because they're exactly the same cutting. And then this one, you're cutting 2 squares of E. And now we're going to sew it together. First, we're going to make our blocks that look like these. So I've just got samples here. So when you stack your pieces together, stack your A and B, and then you should be using your ruler like normal. This is our 2 peaks in 1. Put the line I've told you straight on the bottom, and you're going to be cutting down and across, and then flipping the ruler and doing it again. And you will end up with our wide triangle. So we're going to cut our A and B into wide triangles, and then you're going to take your C and D, and I like to fold them in half, wrong sides together, just like this, and we're using the skinny end of our ruler, and with the instructions it'll tell you which line to put on. I like to cut off a little piece just to straighten it up, and then you're going to move it over just a slight bit, like in my instructions and my notes, and then you cut. When you do your second cut, so let's pretend, I don't want to cut that up right now. We're going to cut our second cut, same thing, turn the ruler, put it on the diagonal and move it over a little bit to the side again, so it's just slightly wider, and then cut. Before you move them all, make sure you put the bottom of your ruler with the baseline on here and cut off your little, sort of clip it off your corner here. Doing that makes it line up a lot better when you sew. And now you're going to sew them. Start with one side, put your clipped corner here, sew 1/4 inch down and press. And then you're going to take the other side, put your clipped corner here, and sew down and press. Then you'll trim it exactly like I've asked you to in your instructions. Make sure, absolutely, whatever size I've told you to, you put that number right on the point and the bottom line right on here, and you're just trimming off a tiny bit on each side so they're perfect. So you're going to be making A, B, 4 of those, and you're also going to be making C, D, 4 of those. Now we're going to do the half square triangle part, and like last month, I'm showing you 2 different ways to do this. If you have the 4 in 1 half square triangle, do it this way. You're going to take your piece I told you on the reverse side of that shape. You're going to be drawing your line, and in the slot drawing your line, and then you can stack right sides together and sew on each of those lines, and you will end up with a block like this. If you do not have the half square triangle ruler, you're just going to take any kind of ruler and put it point to point, draw one line, and then sew 1/4 inch past that line on both sides, and you will have this for your half square triangle. Now you're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to cut it in half right here. So you cut this in half, and you will end up with your half square triangle like this. If you have the 4 in 1 half square triangle ruler, do not press it open, and you're going to trim it. So I told you which line to put on the stitch. I've already trimmed this, So put that line right on the stitch and you will trim on either side of that, and then when you open it, it will be perfect. You can also cut off your bunny ears, so just cut that off here and cut this off here, so that when you open it up and you want to sew, it is a perfect size and it doesn't have these little corners on it. If you do not have this ruler, you're just going to press the way I've told you to press, and then you're going to take your ruler and trim all the way around and make it the size I've told you to do it. And that is your half square triangle. So now you're going to put your pieces together, and I've told you which way to press everything because it's quite important, otherwise you're going to have very lumpy seams. So you've got your ABs and your CDs, but then there's just a square. Here's your half triangle, and you're going to make that row and press the way I've told you, and every time you're going to make these different rows the way I've told you in the pattern, and it makes the most spectacular quilt when you put these all together, and I'll show you that later. But this is really important to press the way you're supposed to when you lay them all out, because it's not hard to sew it. And I'm going to show you right away when I press these how to get it so that when I have done it, even if I scrunch it up, these intersections stay completely flat. So just watch the next step for that. So when I'm pressing seams open, I like to use the Acorn Precision Easy Press pen. You fill it up with the solution. It makes such a difference. So if I've got this and it's kind of like liquid that's coming out like a felt pen, I'll put this on here but not over here. When I iron my seam, I want it to stay open. So here, this is super flat. You can see this is already starting to raise up on this end, but it's flat here. So just look at the way that goes. And so if I scrunch it, this one is already starting to come back up. This one, even though I move it like this, it's flat and it will stay flat. So think about using that in the future when you're doing pressing open. Now this is March, and we've now done our third block. If you feel confident that they're all coming out at 12 1/4 or 12 1/2, just trim them all up and put them in the box, or wait till the end of the year. It doesn't really matter. If there's anything that you feel like, oh, this one's really different than the others, you know, there's designs at the end that will fix that, but you could always go back and use your boo-boo bundle and make an extra one at the end of the year if you need to. So don't worry, but now is time to think, am I on the right page? And you most probably are. And if you've found this video useful, please leave us a like and click subscribe for future content. And this has been Ingrid from Quiltessential Co. And thank you for sewing with me today. And we'll see you soon, and hopefully no more snow.